Hello everyone and welcome back to Platform 1. You're joined by myself and Dave once again. And we're going to be live for the next hour or so up until 2 o'clock. And taking a look at quite a lot of new releases and new project updates this week, aren't we?
There's a lot that's come through, and as I'm sure our regular viewers will see, we've got a couple of different bits that we don't usually feature on the show today, and I'm sure you'll spot a link soon enough as well between the green logos. But if you've spotted that already, let us know in the comments, and you might just beat us to the punch on that one.
Definitely, we'll be covering these shortly in the show, but if you do figure out what the link is between those, we'd love to know in the comments. So where are we going to start?
Ooh, it's a bit of a tricky one. I mean, we've had one real sort of main new locomotive delivered this week, and that's the highly anticipated BR liveried Oxford Rail N7 in 00 gauge. Now, the first ones of these, as you could see on the table just there, came in recently in GER and LNER liveries, but a lot of modelers have been waiting for this one in the BR early emblem livery that you see there. Perfect for 1950s modelers. These locomotives built for the Great Eastern Railway between 1915 and 1928. There was actually 134 of these made for suburban duties running out of London Liverpool Street to places like Chelmsford and Ipswich, right on that Great Eastern main line. And as I'm sure you can imagine, being on busy and quick commuter services, they had to pack a lot of punch for the size. And you can see in the shape there, and as we saw in the footage we just saw, they've really got that stocky appearance to them as well.
They do. They're quite hefty for a tank locomotive, really, aren't they? And they've got some specialised equipment on there as well for those lines, haven't they?
That's exactly it. A lot of them have the steam reversers on as well. Some of them have the condensing gear from when they went onto London Underground tracks as well. So they really did get right into the heart of the London metropolis as well. And it says a lot about these locomotives that as many railways were turning to electrification for the suburban networks and modern multiple units, these lasted right until 1962. They were that good. They just couldn't replace them, so to speak.
That's what's so fascinating about these, really, isn't it? Because it's a pre-grouping locomotive. Yeah. And it's really made such a statement that it was able to last that long in service. But an Oxford model really captures that, doesn't it?
That's exactly it. It's not just the actual history that's exciting. This model is a really nice bit of kit at the end of the day. Some of the details that we mentioned earlier that you don't get on a lot of UK locomotives, such as the excessive, well, not excessive, should I say, it's meant to be there, but a lot of the pipe work that's just not featured on other locos is really finely detailed on here. It's all separately fitted.
There's just a lot of interest there, really, isn't it? Like you say, there's all that pipework, and then you've got that apparatus on the side for the braking and the condensing on certain locomotives, and it's amazing to see that level of detail, especially for the price point that this comes in at.
That's it. Now, one thing that people really might like to see on this, because I don't think I've seen it on a steam loco produced in 00 gauge before, is the headboard clips on the front, and that was actually the first sort of destination blind you ever saw on a railway in the UK, really. Yeah. A lot of you'll now see modern trains out there with destination blinds on, all on the front, telling you where it's going. You don't really think about it, to be quite honest with you. But these had actual wooden boards that were put on the front of the locomotive so that commuters would know where it's going. And that really was, in those Edwardian times, a completely new invention. And
it was revolutionary, really.
It really was.
Something, like you say, it's still endured to this day.
But the model as well, it packs a punch just as the prototype does. It's got a really powerful motor in there. There's, as you'd expect with Oxford Diecast producing it, there's a lot of diecast in there as well.
That's one thing that every time I get to see one of these models, it still astounds me now. The weight of it is incredible, and that's thanks to, as Dave pointed out, there's a lot of diecast in this. You've got your full diecast chassis there, and the tank sides are diecast too, which is really quite special for £98 that they come in at.
It comes in at about 350 grams, if I remember, when we put it on the scales. So for just under £100 for a fully detailed locomotive that really tips the scales as well, it's got that great haulage capacity in there that you'd expect to one of these models too. It's got an 8-pin digital socket, it's got space for a sound speaker, full detail cab interior. You know what it is, guys, by now. It's really good high quality. It really does have that level of detail, and it really goes well with a lot of locomotives that have been brought out by other people. The Great Eastern in that sort of 1950s era. It's got some great stuff coming out at the moment. You've had Hornby's B12, the J15 as well.
And Oxford themselves are bringing out more locomotives in that area too.
They are indeed. They've got a couple more on the way there, so there's a lot more to look forward to if you really fancy modelling that suburban network just before diesels really took over. It's a great one to look at, so have a look at that link in the description. description and order yours right now.
And there's great rolling stock you can run with this too, isn't there? Because there are suburban coaches that can run with the BR versions, and there is rolling stock for the earlier period locomotives as well too.
That's exactly it. And of course, our Genesis coaches in the future in Great Eastern livery are great to run with the Great Eastern liveried variation there.
These certainly are. So there's going to be quite a lot of those coming out, and in future batches as well. There's other variations that could team up with one of these locomotives too. I'm taking a look at these now, and now that we've got all three of them here together, it's just amazing to see there are some really nice variations on these too, aren't there? You've got one thing I noticed the other day on the British Rail one, you've actually got an opening roof vent there, which is not seen on the earlier versions, which is a nice bit of ventilation for the drivers there, wasn't it?
That's
and
exactly
you've even got half-size window grates on the LNER and the NER versions, but full-size ones on the BR ones. So there's a lot of nice little touches on here.
They were actually built in a lot of small batches by a lot of different people. Some of them built by the Great Eastern Railway themselves, some of them built up in Newcastle and various points in between too. And you can see the different designs in there, a lot of features that Jack's just said, but also the two boiler types too. You have the Belpaire firebox and the original round top firebox as well. So for pretty much every variation in these locos, coming up to a 50-year life with one still preserved today as well, it really does cover the whole history of this class, and it is a really exciting history as well. As we've said before on the stream on a couple of episodes ago, Oxford are bringing out a fourth version in BR Black too, but that's with the depot embellishment, so take a look at the link on our website there, and that will take you through to that as well. If you fancy your BR Black with a little bit more on top, that's the one to look at with the white staff embellishments.
It's almost a bit of a celebrity one, that one now, isn't it? There's a lot of people really excited for that, and it does look really striking with the white band on the front, on the chimney, and you get the red number plate on the front as well, so it really does stand out, that one. It doesn't look like any other tank locomotive that I've seen with those special embellishments.
That's exactly it.
Totally unique scheme, so it'll definitely make a statement on your layout as well.
And as mentioned before as well, they are fully ready for digital sound, but they are also being released with digital sound already fitted, with the first one coming in towards the end of the year in the GR Grey and the others following on in early 2020. So if you want sound fitted in yours, place your pre-order. If you're happy without sound, you can order right now.
That's it. So check out that link in the description. You can find out more. And as Dave said, we've got some great new images of that forthcoming BR Black livery with the depot embellishments on there as well. So check all that out in the description. Right, we'll just say hello to a few people first before we get to any questions.
Absolutely.
We've got Grongston Model Railway says yo-yo. Ben Davis says hello Hattons, thanks for the stream. Bluegrass Rail fans here, and he says morning guys.
Hi guys.
An important question, can we expect any Halloween costumes next week?
Oh, it's tempting.
Maybe one for you.
Tempting.
Ethan Amstutz says good morning, and greetings from the US. Jamie Smith, hi to everyone. Ethan Amstutz again says can't wait to hear and see what's new this week. And New Junction's here as well. He says good afternoon both. But hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. And if you're new to the show, thank you very much for being a first timer, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes as well.
I think it's a great point to say as well, thank you to everyone who did come and say hello to us at the Great Electric Train Show in Milton Keynes last weekend. We put out an offer for people to come up and say hello and meet us on the stand, and to be honest, we never really stopped meeting some of you who...
That's it, you guys didn't disappoint us, and it was great to meet some and put faces to names, really, so it was fantastic to meet you all.
Some of the names we've seen are here already today, so thanks for seeing us there, and good to see you again.
That's it. Got a few things on the N7 here anyway. We've got Ben Davis says too many trains on the table, or he wants today. We've spoiled you today, really, with all this. He's also asked, do you think we will get an N7 in GER Blue at any point? Now, Oxford did discuss this,
A lot of people have asked for it, because only one of the locomotives was painted in GR Blue in real life, number 1001. And it is something that they've put the feelers out there about, and a few people have been asking us for it as well to pass on to Oxford Rails, so it's not one to rule out in the future. There's no current announcements, but as soon as we do get a hint of that coming out, if it is to be released, we'll feature it right here on Platform 1 and on our website as well.
That's it. The story of this model's not over yet, is it? We've still got more variations to come, and with it having such a fascinating history, it'd be a shame for there not to be some more in the future, and it's already proven to be very popular too, so I wouldn't rule out seeing that at some point.
Absolutely.
Ian B says they're restoring an N7 at the Heritage Railway he volunteers for, and it's a really lovely loco.
I imagine that will be the East Anglian Railway Museum at Chapel and Wakescombe near Ipswich.
All right. Great that you're working on the N7 there as well. 700 Shunter says he still feels the N7 would look great on a large coal rake.
might have come for it. They were mainly suburban locomotives, so hauling passenger rates coming out of London, but who's not to say it'd look good in another rake of coaches?
If you think it looks good, Rule 1 applies, doesn't it? And we've already pointed out, it's quite a hefty hench sort of tank locomotive, isn't it? So it looks like it'd be at home on a freight service too.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't all the time. Ethan Amstutz says, on the longevity of the N7, Drummond's T9s lasted even longer. They were first built in 1899. And Shroudley's Terriers lasted 94 years in service, which is true.
The Terriers are some of the longest lasting locomotives built in the 1870s and really available into preservation as well. So pretty much 140 years of history for those. And some of those early pre-grouping designs really do carry on right into the BR era, which, as we've shown before on quite a few of the live streams, you can get some really classic looking locomotives in 50s and 60s liveries to enhance your layout.
You certainly can. And we've got one more here from Onno Mulder, and he says they are absolutely stunning locos, these N7s, which they are. They're great looking in real life, and they're great looking in model form too.
They are indeed, and they really are worth a closer look. So if you do want a closer look, take a look at the images on our website. We've got some really high detail close-ups there. If you want to see some of that intricate detail, you can do.
Right. Not sure if anyone's spotted the link between these locomotives, so I think we're going to have to spoil it.
It taxed me a little bit when I came in the room. I had to think.
Right, these are all pre-grouping locomotives, and they're all perfect for our forthcoming Genesis 4 and 6 wheel coaches, which we announced very shortly ago, and we've spoken a bit about on previous streams. So we just thought we'd take a look at some of the fantastic models that are currently available from that era and show you some examples of what you could run when our coaches release in 2021.
A lot of the exciting questions we've had about the projects are, what loco can I run with these? What can we prepare to go with them? What do I already have in my collection that works with them? And to be honest, the possibilities are pretty much endless. This is only a small selection of what we can offer to go with the Genesis coaches. Of course, as well, do check out our formations guide on our website, which has even more suggestions for rakes to put together for certain eras and types of locos. But we thought we'd just give you a little bit of a preview of some of the things you may already have or you can get from us right now, just to make perfect partners for those coaches.
That's it. Hopefully it gives you some ideas, get you a little bit excited for the coaches coming in. And to be honest, it was just a chance for us to show off a few of our favourites, really, wasn't it?
It really was.
So first up, we've got to feature our very own P-Class.
Oh, yes.
Now, these are absolutely perfect for them. So you could pair one of these with 2 to 3 potentially, or even more. This would be CCR livery coaches.
This would be something along the lines of a small branch line train. So we do offer our packs of 4 as well there, which is pretty ideal for this. Maybe a couple less, maybe a couple more. But the compatible liveries you've got there, the South Eastern Chatham, as we can see in the middle of the lineup there. Also, the Southern Railway livery would be really appropriate for these too. So going through into that olive green in the 1920s and 1930s, perfect little branch line train for those of you with a smaller layout who, to be honest as well, without using the word badly, who want an old-fashioned looking locomotive, an old-fashioned looking set of coaches as well, really. And one thing to bear in mind there is we do a lot of the preservation liveries too for the Bluebell Railway and beyond. And the Bluebell Railway in particular does have a really varied range of preserved 4 and 6 wheel coaches. So if you do want to mix up some of those liveries, if you want to look at some of the teak liveries or some of the others, and run it with, if you've got a blue P-Class as Bluebell, if you've got Primrose in your collection or one of the South Eastern Chatham locos preserved there, you don't have to stick to those specific coach types.
That's it. I'm glad you mentioned that, really, because it gives modern modelers the opportunity to run some of these coaches and these locos too. So if you want to get a bit of something a little bit more dainty or something a little more cute like one of these locomotives, or something with a bit of a splash of colour, there's always an opportunity to do that. There's always a way to make it happen, and with locomotives like that, you can certainly do it with those sort of coaches.
Really is.
We've also got another one of our locomotives here, which is of course the Andrew Barclay 040ST. Now these are also a fantastic one to pair with these coaches. You've got the GWR livery here, but you could also pair coaches with the Caledonian liveried model and quite a few of the others too, really. Even
though these were mainly shunting locomotives and freight engines, they did run with coaches occasionally in traffic and a lot in preservation as well. So your GWR livery there would be perfect for a South Wales miners train or a dockyard workers train or something along those lines with a couple of coaches, which is exactly where the 4-wheel coaches went in the 1920s and 1930s. If you're looking a little bit more modern, some of the NCB liveries for the National Coal Board A lot of their workers' trains were 4 and 6 wheel coaches in this really striking blue livery as well.
I'm excited to see those.
Which is on our second batch as well, so you can pre-order those right now to go with that. And a lot of people are really getting to model industrial services, but no one's really getting around to modelling industrial passenger services
Which
yet.
is something that did happen very frequently, and it had to happen to get them onto the site a lot of the time.
It's something that gets completely looked over, really, mainly because there's not a lot of photos out there about it and not a lot of stock available for it. But with our Genesis coaches, you will be able to model those integral internal user duties.
That's it. Now, sticking with the small loco theme, we've got Hornby's beautiful little Terrier locomotive as well, which you can see on the table just in front of us there.
And this again covers for the Southeastern Chatham livery with the one-off locomotive there, but the one that really speaks out for me here is the forthcoming Isle of Wight Terrier as well, and that's available to pre-order right now as well on our website, coming out early next year. That's in the Southern Olive Green, and that and a couple of 4 and 6 wheel coaches really is the Isle of Wight railway rolling stock. The Isle of Wight had its own independent railway system operated by the Southern Railway, same gauge as the UK as well, but it really did get a lot of the cast-offs and hand-me-downs. So it
still does.
It still does. So it really did have a lot of those 4 and 6 wheel coaches, some of the pre-grouping locomotives such as the Terriers, right through into the 1940s, 1950s. So if you do want to have that style, that Edwardian Victorian style of locomotive and coach, but a little bit more modern, coming up to World War II, maybe just after, the Isle of Wight is the place to look at.
Again, it's something for later modelers to consider there as
Exactly.
well, isn't it? But it's not all tiny tank locomotives either. You've got such as Hornby's GNR N2, which is a slightly older model now, but we had a couple of these in stock, so we just thought we had to show this one off because it's a lovely looking thing.
Well, this is the Great Northern Railway's answer to the N7, really. So
there is a lot of similarity there, isn't there?
Keeping the connection there between the 062 Suburban tank engines, and you can see the similarity in the design. It's really got a lot of grunt under there as well. And these, instead of coming out of London Liverpool Street, would run out of King's Cross, heading up to places like Peterborough, for example, so really going up that East Coast main line there. But again, that suburban traffic in the 1910s, 1920s would have been formed of those Great Northern Railway teak 4 and 6 wheel coaches. And again, if you look on our formations guide, we have put a suggestion in there for you. And this livery is really striking as well. You can see where the LNER livery was coming from at this point, following on to that a couple of years later.
Absolutely.
You've got your apple green colour scheme, which is almost the birth of that London North Eastern Railway coming through. So to get some really nice colour on your layout with that and a set of teak coaches. Another opportunity there for Great Northern Railway modellers is the Stirling single that's available as well, if you want to offer the express passenger side of it. But as Jack said, we do still have a couple of models of the N2 in this pre-grouping livery available.
That's it. They do pop up on the pre-owned every so often, so keep your eyes out. And there is other locomotives from that era that do appear on pre-owned as well, so do keep your eyes open for stuff that comes on there. Now, we've got 2 left here, so which one do you want to go for first, Dave?
I think we're going to have to go for the other passenger locomotive here. I think
we have to, don't we? It's the D11 we've got here in the Great Central livery, and this is a beautiful thing, really, isn't it? It's got almost similarities to SECR, I think, with the...
Yes.
You've got the sort of, I'd say, maroonish colour scheme on the bottom there, and the well-lined green, and it's a gorgeous locomotive, both in, well, as it was in real life and in model form again here.
It's a really high detailed model, and these were built for the Great Central Railway, which operated between Manchester, Sheffield, Nottingham, Leicester and London. So opened up a completely new main line in the late Victorian era, and to do that they built new locomotives. They inherited a lot of 4 and 6 wheel coaches from previous companies that had gone along those routes as well and combined them in there. So the GCR livery is going to be on our second batch of releases, but it can be pre-ordered right now to pair up with this locomotive. There's also been the J11 released in this condition as well. So a great couple of opportunities there for those of you who model more the Midlands sort of area within this era to take a look at one of those.
That's it. And finally, we've got, of course, Oxford Rail's Dean Goods locomotive here as well, which obviously, as the name implies, was more of a freight locomotive, but it wasn't strange to see it also working some passenger duties too.
Going back to the longevity that one of our viewers mentioned before, these locomotives go right back to the late Victorian era, but survived in service until the 1950s, and towards the 20s and 30s they've been displaced from a lot of the goods duties due to the size being not quite what it needed to be, and a lot of the bigger 280 locomotives, for example, coming in. So they were displaced to South Wales, Mid Wales, a couple of the more sleepy branch lines, which were the perfect places to find 4 and 6 wheel coaches.
Exactly.
On a lot of those traffic. So suddenly they became market trains on a Saturday, or local trains up and down a sleepy branch line. So you did get this really typical 060 locomotive on 4 or 5 4 or 6 wheel coaches paired with. And the interesting thing about the Dean Goods as well is there has just been a new model of this released this week in the Great Western Green, perfect for the 1930s. And also the snowplow as well, available separately.
I'm really glad to see that come back, because originally that came out with a specific model of the GWR liveried Dean Goods, and that came as an extra in the box. So you take the buffers off, plug that on, and you've got your snowplow ready to go. After some feedback, Oxford's now released that as a accessory as well, so you can fit that to any Dean Goods you like, or you could actually fit it to other GWR locos with a bit of modification as well. So, because that was something that was fitted to various GWR locomotives.
Absolutely, we've seen pictures of it with pannier tanks and Dean Goods locomotives as well. So take a look at that. It is available to order right now if you do model a Western winter scene.
That's it. Head to our website and you'll be able to see that on there anyway. Now, this just goes to show that there's already an amazing range of, just even from the pre-grouping era, we've got some fantastic locomotives here that you can choose to run with some Genesis coaches. And there's even more to come in the future as well. We've got a picture here of Hornby's next Dean single in the railroad range, which will be coming out towards the end of this year or early next year?
It's early next year, this one coming through, and this is Achilles. Now, this is a model that does go back a couple of years, as does the prototype, but it still packs quite a bit of a punch, should I say.
No
Apologies there. No ducks there. And it really does have that Victorian Express locomotive look about it. It is the only 422 locomotive in our range at the moment as well, what they call a spinner locomotive. And that, to me, with a set of 4 and 6 wheel coaches, is the 1880s, 1890s GWR Express service. It's the only real way you can model that at the moment. So do take a look at that one if that takes your fancy. But also, as well, there's a couple of smaller locomotives on the way, isn't there?
I was just about to say that. Obviously, we've covered a few here already, but there's even more. We've got the next lot of B4s from Dapple on the way, which are perfect too. This one in the LSWR green there.
And this is the first time it's been made freely available in the LSWR livery as well. And our coaches for this will be in batch 2 in the salmon and brown livery that's quite typical of the LSWR, paired with the pea green that you see there too. So again, although these were mainly dockyard shunters, they did occasionally get onto passenger duties, mainly around the dockyards that they worked, and paired up with a couple of 4 and 6 wheel coaches to move the workers around. Just makes a great little combination for your layout.
There is really a lot of opportunities with the coaches, not just for longer passenger rakes, because they were used on express services in their heyday, but as Dave's already mentioned, onto some of the sleepy branch line services with ex-freight locomotives, workers trains with the NTB, or on dockyards as well, in mines up mountains. They really did get around these coaches, and as I've already said, this just goes to show what already there are an amazing range of locomotives out there that you might already have in your collection, or it's something to add ready for the coaches to come in. And there's also plenty coming out in the future too.
That's exactly it. And if you've already got a plan for your Genesis coaches, or you're just on the cusp of an idea, do let us know in the comments as well. We'd love to know what you've got planned.
That's it. And if you're looking for a bit more inspiration, we do have a formations guide on our website already for the Genesis coaches, which just gives you a bit of inspiration and some prototypical ideas for what you could run. You've got quite a few different versions in there that we've tried to include, but to be honest, we've barely scratched the surface of what you can do with them in there. So we might even have to do some more in the future when we've got further batches coming in.
Certainly.
Right, so we've got guys getting very excited in the comments here for all these beautiful locos we've got on the table. We've got Ben Davis says he can't wait to get some of the Genesis coaches. B. Mozza says, when will the 4 and 6 wheel full brake be available? Now, that's something we're looking into at the moment.
Yes.
We had got a lot of feedback, which is very gratefully appreciated, really, from the Q&A session that we did last week and via our website and other channels as well. So thank you very much for making us aware of that. And yeah, we'll consider it.
Yeah, it is under development, the full brake coach. Our developer, Dave Milet, who was on our stream last week, is working flat out at the moment on the coach project, on the whole Genesis project, really, and we'll have more details on the full brake soon.
Can't wait to share more details overall soon for you guys as well. Gareth Waite says, he's got our grey P-Class number 754, and he says it looks so great and it runs so well, even over his rubbish points as well, which is something a lot of people have said is that the P-Classes do run very well over point work, even with the short wheelbase there, so that's great to hear you having fun with the P-Class. Ian B says he thinks some of the small industrial locos will use the car plants like Ford in Dagenham or BL Longbridge as well.
He's absolutely spot on. A lot of the steam locomotives there. I think a couple of Barclays actually did work at the Ford plant in Dagenham as well, but pretty much every industrial site in the late 19th to early 20th century onwards will have had its own little railway inside it with a small steam locomotive, and it's fascinating in just what colour schemes and popular brands that you might still see today carried some of these. Shell Petrol, for one, had its own locomotives, British Petroleum, a lot of different...
CPC with the Barclays.
CPC with the Barclays,
yeah. So. And it's we kind of touched on it a little bit with the Ruston 48DS from Hornby recently, didn't we? Just the unusual places that you'd never expected to be a railway where there was, biscuit factories, whiskey distilleries, the works really. So, don't be limited by your imagination really.
That's it.
700 Shunter says he'd like to see an LSWR02 as a train pack with Genesis coaches, so that'd be an interesting one.
That'd be another really good Isle of Wight pairing, because quite a few of those locomotives were sent to the Isle of Wight in the 1920s and 1930s. So again, a pairing there in SR Monsell Green is one to think about.
Definitely. Matt Slade, he's just loving the grey N7 there on the table.
It really is a striking colour, isn't it? That wartime grey on there. There's more and more locomotives being made available in grey now, and it's becoming a really popular colour scheme. So keep an eye out on our page, and there's more and more coming.
That's it. And again, this is another one that could run with the 4 and 6 wheels as well.
Yes.
So opportunities there. Ethan Amstutz says, a Dean single. He's got a Triang one, but you might go for the new one that's coming out there. Grongston Model Railway says he's also got a Triang Dean single, and it runs quite well. And Matt Slade can't wait for the coaches, and he's getting the GWR 4-pack with the lights. So that's if you want to go for some of the coaches, we do have different options there for you as well. As you might have seen in previous streams, we're offering the coaches as single packs, lit or unlit, and then we're also offering special multi-packs with either 3 or 4 coaches, depending on what livery you want as well. Yes. So check out that link in the description. You can find out all you need to know about the coaches too.
Take a look. Now, we thought we'd feature something a little bit different in this week's stream as well. We do get a lot of it, but we've never actually covered it before in a Platform 1, have we?
Yeah, this is the first time.
And that's the Oxford diecast range of vehicles. Now, we've had over 40 new releases in the last week across N-gauge, O-gauge and double O-gauge. And there's quite a lot of variety here as well. We've got the Wayman Fanfare bus, we've got ambulances, we've got the BP tanker, the JCB Komatsu as well, Land Rovers there. And I've never really looked at it before, at just how varied the Oxford diecast range is. We currently have over 1,500 different items in stock from Oxford Diecast, which tells you something about just how much is available in all the different scales there. So we thought we'd take a little bit of a closer look at some of those new releases, and I believe we've got some up close and personal images.
We certainly have. We've got a few pictures on here now, so they'll be going through a few different buses and cars. Excuse me, and a few commercial vehicles as well. But as Dave said, there's been 40 new releases in just the last week alone, and we get new products all the time. So there's bound to be something that fits in with your layout, whether you're in need of some extra cars for your town scene, whether you're in need of a digger like you just saw there for a construction site, whether you're in need of a bus to ferry some passengers around between your train stations. They really do supply everything you need to bring scenes to life and bring your layout to life as well. And there's items across all the gauges, isn't there? You've got an O gauge like we've got on the table there, O gauge bus. a full suite of cars and commercial vehicles and trucks and everything else in 00 and N-Gauge. So it's an amazing range, really.
And as you can see on the images there, the models are full of detail as well, of individually printed number plates and full livery and interior specifications as well. And they really do start at some pocket money prices at about £4.50 upwards for some of the smaller vehicles, and then climbing further as the size grows, essentially. But over the last few years, the Oxford diecast range has really expanded into a lot of different types of vehicles as well. So if you've not taken a look for a few years, do check out the link in the description and take a look at the new releases, and you'll just see how much variety there is.
I mean, these aren't Hot Wheels cars, are they? These are the real deal. You've even got small details. This is a 00 gauge Aston Martin Vanquish that I've got here. You've even got printed number plates on there. You've got little extra details like the exhaust tips on the back. You've got a detailed interior, which is actually painted on this one. So you've got the grey generally, but then you've got the black on the dashboard and on the steering wheel column and stuff like that. And it's really nicely tooled, and it gives a really good impression. They really are quite fantastic, and you've got proper tyres on there, and the rims picked out in detail there, which it goes for all models. Even in N-Gauge, you've got that same level of quality.
That's exactly it. And one thing to bear in mind is as well, if you're building a new railway layout, it's not just a case of having railways and cars side by side, not connecting at all. There's a lot of opportunities to put them together, which we can offer as well at the moment. We've just had a new delivery of the Oxford Rail car flat wagon, which has come through, which actually is the movement of either new cars around the country or personal cars, again, to different parts of the country as well. Traffic that only really stopped a couple of years ago there. There's car carrying wagons, there's rail replacement buses. There's a lot of areas you can combine those interests, really, rather than just having a shelf of cars and a shelf of trains, so to speak. So there's some really good opportunities to look at the moment. And with Oxford bringing in new releases pretty much every month at the moment.
It's very frequent, isn't it?
It really is. It's a constant stream of new releases coming through from them as well. There's always something new to take a look at on our listings. So keep an eye on our website and stay up to date.
But it's not all about just making scenes on your layout either. They are perfect just for the collector too. Yeah. We've picked out this lovely O-Gauge Wayman Fanfare bus here. And this is a lovely model which would be prime for display if you just have shelves of buses on display or something like that. It's just nice, or even as a memento as well. You've got the full interior there. You've got the driver's area with lots of detail in. You've got your separately fitted wing mirrors and things like that. And it's a lovely looking model. But perhaps, you or your dad or something like that might have had a car like this back in the day or something. That's just a nice memento to have. And there's, as we've touched on, there's a gigantic range of items out there. So there's surely something that fits the bill for you, whether it be something for your layout or just a little memento or something to add to your collection.
That's it. So if you want to check out the new releases, check out that link in the description and you'll see what's just come in and what's hot.
That's it. And we've touched on it recently as well, but Oxford has made their announcements for Q3 now as well. So there's a few new products that got announced in there. A new tooled van in 00 gauge and a few other bits and bobs too. So do check that out on our website as well for all the forthcoming stuff from Oxford, because it's constant. We can barely keep up with it, can't we?
More and more and more.
We've got a few comments here as well. Bear with me, we've got Bronxton Model Railway says the bus looks like an item that he'd add to his project. And we'd love to know what that project is, if you could let us know in the comments. Gareth Waite says, afternoon. Oh, you've got some really nice die-cast bits there. Gareth Waite again says, don't forget the brilliant Coca-Cola stuff that they've done. As he's got some of that in his collection. There is a lot of Coca-Cola stuff from Oxford, isn't there?
Again, it's a lot more variety in there as well. There's the vans that have come through, there's planes, there's trucks, there's various other bits of equipment.
Even buses and taxis with it on.
There is indeed, and that goes well with the Coca-Cola train set from Hornby as well. So if you want a purely Coca-Cola layout, you've got trains, planes and automobiles, so it's pretty much there.
You really have. It's like we touched on before as well, there's never an excuse not to make a scene there as well. Like, I think we talked about Coca-Cola bottling plants or something like that with the train set, so that just adds to the theme as well. I do not like boats, which is an interesting username. He says he wants to see someone make a Coca-Cola layout, so yeah, you never know.
There you go.
Matt Slade says Oxford need more modern, everyday type of cars. I mean, as you can see, there is some coming through already. We've got this various Jaguars and other modern vehicles coming through. But if there's anything you'd like to see from them, don't hesitate to let us know or let Oxford know as well. Yeah. And they can certainly consider other items for the future as well, because as we say, there's lots coming through, and they're always coming up with new ideas for their announcements as well. So
there is indeed, and we can pass through any thoughts through to Oxford Diecast as well if there's anything you'd like to see.
Exactly. Blue Gosh Rail fan says, I'd imagine it's not really big in the UK, but how about a street running scene? Easiest way is to have cars and trains interact on a layout.
It is something you do see in a lot of non-UK countries, so it is very tempting to look at. And one to bear in mind as well is Oxford Diecast do a range of HO gauge vehicles as well, mainly in the American sort of styles at the moment, but they are coming through. There's more and more of them there. So if you fancy an American scene with either a street car or a road running scene as well, or cars like that did get over to Europe as well, do have a look, because they are available in the 1/87th scale and they're available to order on our website as well.
Not to say it didn't happen in the UK either, because you've got areas like Weymouth that had the street running with the trains there, so there's plenty of excuses. There's always a way to make it work. We've got Clive Cobbold says he'd like to see Oxford make a 1980s ambulance or a British Rail crew bus. And AD Pullen says, is there any updates on Oxford Rail's LNER J27?
We have been told that the development is continuing on that. They've just had a sample of the model from the factory to take a closer look at and make sure it's okay before it goes public. As soon as we get something public, we'll show it here on Platform 1 and we'll keep you posted.
That's it. We look forward to seeing more on that as well. Right, if you've taken a look out the window recently, you'll probably noticed it's pretty grim outside. We're very much into the autumn season now, and what that means for the railways is lots of leaves on the line. Now, what did he need to clear those? Railhead treatment trains. Now, this time of year, isn't that when you see these coming right out onto the lines? They're pretty much everywhere on the network. There's been some fantastic photos posted recently, like this one from Lucas Walpole, with a pair of 66s on it. And you'll be seeing the railhead treatment trains with practically anything on them, won't you? There's class 20s, class 37s, 67s, 68s, all over the UK. And it's the perfect time to potentially get one for your layout too, to reenact some of the scenes that, as you can see here, that take place all over the UK at this time of year. We
have just had the revised production sample of our clean models come through, which the re-release is coming in December, as you can see behind us on the shelf there. But also we're showing one of the weathered models that we've had here today too, and these are currently available to order right now.
That's it. And these models come absolutely packed with detail. It's probably something you've seen from us before. On the weathered versions there, you've got very accurate filth on the sides of them. And on, as you can see from the pristine one there, you get to see a few more of the details. So each one of the wagons, I believe it's 50 layers of printing per wagon, which is just unbelievable, really. And you've got all the separately fitted parts for the little drain cocks on there, the handrails, the pipework, the different underframe details, and the buffer beam details as well. They really are quite a beautiful model for something that is quite utilitarian, really.
And as you mentioned, these are absolutely perfect to run in 00 gauge with models that may already be in your collection, or we do have available to order right now as well our forthcoming class 66s, class 20s, Dapol's class 68, a class 37, a 47, Hornby's class 56 as well. There's a lot of locomotives that may be already on your shelves there that are perfect to go with an RHTT set. And the bonus is as well, within 2 vehicles, you have a full train.
That's it. It's a really easy train to put together. And like, as you say, you might already have some, well, you probably do already have some locomotives in your collection that can run with one. So you don't need anything else. You just need to buy the one set. And off you go. That's, as you see from some of the pictures there, that's a full train right there.
Yes.
And it's something that really does stand out and make a big statement on your layout as well, because it is a unique looking train. And it's something, as I've already said, you can see this happening everywhere for quite a large portion of the year. So it's something that's very easy to make a case for on your layout as well.
And of course, for those of you outside the UK as well who don't quite get to see them on the doorstep, we do have a full formations guide on our website too. So take a look at that and get some inspiration there as well.
But yeah, maybe you might have seen one recently on your railway adventures. We'd love to know if you've seen them out and about already. We've seen them pretty close by as of late, haven't we already?
They're pretty hard to miss with 2 big diesel locomotives on them and a pair of wagons spraying in the middle as well. Pretty hard to miss on the network, but keep your eyes out.
That's it. So if you want to get one pre-weathered as well, we do offer those right now. The pristine versions will be coming through soon as well in the new batch. As you can see behind us there, So if you wanted to have them clean, as they very, very, very occasionally might be, or you could weather it up yourself if you wanted to go for a different effect.
Absolutely.
And they're available in those 2-car packs, and you can also buy a single expansion pack as well. So if you want to make it into a 3-wagon set, you can do that, as they do run in different formations. As Dave said, you can see the full formations guide on our website.
And check out that link in the description if you want to order one right now.
That's it. I Like Transport said he's made a video of the Cambrian Line RHTT, which was recently hauled by 97304 on its own. I did actually see a couple of pictures of that. It's very unusual for them to be hauled by one
So that's a single locomotive, isn't it? It's quite unusual, yeah.
I've not seen it very often, but I have seen some photos of that, which was fascinating, really. And it just goes to show, if you wanted to, you might just have one loco that you want to run with it. You can do that as well. It has happened. Sammy B Film says, does the model clean off model leaves? Unfortunately not, but you could give it a go if you wanted. Medway Peninsula Model Railway says he thinks he'll be going for the clean version. I Like Transport again says, are they based on FEAs? They certainly are.
Yes, they are based on the same type as the container wagons. These are the FEA F variation, so the modules on top are completely designed for the RHTT, but underneath, with a little bit of modification, it did start life as a container wagon.
That's it. And you can get those container wagons from us as well. We do offer the FEA intermodal flats.
Yes.
And we do have more of those coming out soon as well. There's a whole new batch of them coming in. Blue Gosh Rail fan says he wasn't aware they had anything on the cleans leaves off the rails in the UK. In the US, they just have the Sanders going. And Matt Slade says he sees the RHTT almost every day here in South Wales. So they do make a lot of work in South Wales, don't they?
They do. A lot of valleys there to head up and down, so some
trees.
really good opportunities to model.
That's it. Right, so moving on, we've got a bit of future news, haven't we?
We have indeed. Now, this was part of a huge batch of updates of information for us from Helgen in 00 and O gauges as well. So a lot of really exciting looking new releases from those coming in over the next 12 to 18 months. And they gave us a bit of a sneak preview of some information of what's coming through, and also some of the samples being made as well. And the first one to touch on there is the forthcoming Class 27 model. Now, a lot of fans of Scottish diesels will recognise these, really well known for operating in Scotland from the 1960s through to the 1980s. Quite a few of them surviving in preservation as well. These Sulzer Type 2s are actually a little bit different this time round. There's been some amendments to the tooling to allow pretty much every version of them to be made. A lot of differences in the cab side windows and also the body sides as well really open up the variations that can be produced here. As you can see on the liveries, there's a lot of 1970s examples you can see there in the blue, but also some of the green locomotives coming through as well from the 1960s. So covering the whole lifespan of these locos pretty much for the first time on this model.
We're really excited to see these coming in, and there's been a lot of excitement from you guys on our social media about these as well.
Yes.
It's one of BR's classic sort of workhorse locomotives, really, aren't they? They weren't too flashy, but they just got the job done. And Helgen's coming out with quite a lot of new models here in variation liveries, and they're set to be really, really nice.
And these models as well come with a really heavy chassis and 8-pin digital socket, including space for a really big sound speaker in there as well. Fully working lighting, including head code lighting as well. Interior cab detail. You really do get a lot of bang for your buck with these.
It's what we've come to expect from Helgen, really, isn't it? It's high quality, feature-rich 00 locos, and the 27 is going to be no exception to the other locos they've released. That's not all, is it, for classic British diesel action?
Well, no, we're moving right from the top of Scotland to pretty much the south of England now, and this is staying in 00, but this is the Class 33. Now, might look similar at first glance, but there is a lot of difference in these locomotives. In real life, they had quite a lot more power than the 27s, and they were built for a lot of different duties between passenger, freight, and all across that southern region there as well. And these locomotives, a couple of them still survive in service today, but the liveries you see here go from the 1960s, as you can see on the BR green there, and right through into the 70s and 80s. And also with the wagons you see there, the A-tank wagons, a couple of them are being released as train packs on oil and petrol trains. So you've got the combination of the weathered BR green locomotive there, the tank wagons it runs with, but also some of the later liveries are replicated as well.
It's really great, this pack, really, isn't it? Because it's got one full train there in one box.
Yes.
And it's quite a fantastic price that they come in at with such highly detailed locomotives and really nice wagons too.
That's it. And all the prices are available on our website if you click that link in the description. And we can just see some of the later liveries there. We saw the train low construction livery from the early 1990s, but also the special BR livery with the silver roof as well, which really has captivated quite a few people who modelled a mid-1980s era as well.
That really is it. No, the 33s, they were sort of a higher power version of the 26s and 27s,
yes.
weren't they? So
yeah.
That's why they do have that similarity to those locomotives, but they were a totally different class at the end of the day. And as you said, they were used in totally different places, like opposite ends of the country, weren't they?
That's it.
For most of their lives.
They never really met in real life, but a lot of those details we covered on the 27 are carried across to the 33 as well. You've still got your 8-pin decoder socket, you've still got your high quality interior, your heavy chassis, your really powerful motor in there. Whether you want to go north or south on that, really, you can still get that high quality of model, high detail, and something exciting to look at.
It's just great that if you're a southern modeller or a very far northern modeller, you've got some brilliant 60s diesel action coming through from Hattons
exactly
there.
it.
So they're catering for both sides of the market, really, and there's a lot coming through.
And we've also had an update as well on the Bayer Garrett. Now, this is one of the most exciting things we've got coming through at the moment, certainly according to you guys, because this is one of the things we've had so much feedback on, is the 00 gauge re-release of this model, coming in quite a few different liveries as well. Now, these are expected just after Christmas, so if you've got a pre-order in, that is the latest date for it. We did have a lot of people asking, and we've got an answer for you. So keep an eye out in January, and those will be coming through.
That's it. It's a bit of a post-Christmas blues present there for you, isn't it? And there is some very interesting liveries coming through in that one. We've got the photographic grey colour scheme coming in there as well. So do keep your eyes out for that.
And one more for O-gauge modellers. Again, one we've been asked about a couple of times is the Class 50 locomotive. So these really are the express 1960s diesels built by English Electric, coming through in no less than 8 liveries, including 2 exclusive for ourselves, if you want to check out that link in the description. The latest we've had from Helgen is that they are due just before Christmas. So one before, one after as well. So if you're O-gauge, you're getting a Christmas present. It's the Class 50 coming in. So check out your pre-orders now. As said, there's liveries there from the late 1970s through to the current day in the GBRF livery too. So have a look and see which one's for you.
There really is something for everyone there, isn't there? There's a lot coming through. Ben Davis says the 33 with the tank wagons looks really great. I'm really excited to get these packs through because we've had a couple of those from Helgen before where you get the tank wagons with it, and it's a really nice set for the price.
Yes.
So it's just a great way to run an entire train from one box. It's a nice little bundle pack there for you. Medway Peninsula Model Railway says the grey pair pack has one named Isle of Grain, which will fit well on his layout. And looks like he'll have to get a second job.
And those locomotives really did run in pairs during that era as well. The triple grey versions that you've just mentioned in the early 1990s, they did always run round as twos. So it's great to see that Helgen have put that pack together as well, so you can instantly recreate that part of history.
I was going to say, it just makes it easier for the modeller there, doesn't it? 700 Shunter says an SO Mansell Z class would look great with those SO tankers, perhaps.
It's a good pairing because that's kind of what the 33 replaced in that area as well. So those big 080 tank locomotives that really did some of the heavy shunting duties on the Southern Railway. Never seen a model of one, but certainly a 33 is a good substitute until one comes out.
That's it. I can't say I've seen a Z class. I'll have to look that up after the show. Lakota Farrell says they're looking forward to the photographic grey Garrett. Not that they've got much use for it, but it doesn't matter. So that's a good way to be.
A lot of people are looking forward to that one. We've already had people on the stream before mentioning they like the grey livery on the N7 there. So again, as soon as we get one, we'll have it right here on Platform 1.
That's it. Just touching back on the RHTTs as well, we've had Ian B said he saw one at a level crossing recently, and he said they switched them off as they crossed the road. And he's surprised how accurate they were. They only spread where they wanted them to go, nothing on the road. They really are an incredible piece of kit, the RHTT. Yes. They were designed, obviously, from the ground up for this one specific task. So it's no surprise that they're so accurate and so well run, really. And Grongston Model Railway says he's seen an RHTT with a 66 that was so caked in muck, only the cab cleaned, it was like a chocolate bar. So I've seen a few pictures like that where it's just, you can barely make out what locomotive it is, really.
And that's really replicated by the weathering on our units as well. It's not just a little bit of dirt, it's authentically mucky as the real units get.
Authentically mucky, I think that's the new product title for these. Right, so as we touched on at the start of the show, last weekend was the Great Electric Train Show. And we were very, very happy to meet a lot of you guys there. You probably, a few of you guys we know are already in the chat today as well. It was a pleasure to meet you all. And it was a fantastic show, wasn't it, this year?
It really was. There was a lot of variety there, not only on our stand with some of the new releases we had available to show off, but also just the whole show, really. A lot of the layouts you saw there, a bit of a close-up as our stand, as you can see. But you can just see the actual scope of the show there as well. A huge amount of layouts, huge amount of details. As you can see, our stand was pretty much always busy, really. We had a lot of people coming up asking us some fantastic questions, showing off some of our new releases and old favourites, such as the A3s and A4s you see there in the cabinet. And just a great weekend to talk model railways.
That's it. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And this is going to sound weird, but I kind of see it gets as a bit of a Goldilocks show, really. It's not too big and it's not too small either.
Yes.
It's quite easy to get around, but it's quite a dense show, really. There's a lot on. There's a lot going on in there. You had 30 different layouts, and there were some truly amazing ones, which we will show you in a minute. And a lot of different demonstrators, a lot of different traders there as well. Obviously, like we've touched on ourselves, we're there with the latest on our Hattons Originals models. But there's just absolutely so much to see, and that's what's so great to see in the hobby, is that there's so much going on. And you will have seen that through Platform 1 as well, that there's so many models coming through and there's so much action in the industry. It's really great to see.
That's absolutely it, and I don't think we stopped, to be quite honest, did we really?
Nope.
From 9 until 5 both days, we had lots of questions, and as said before as well, a lot of you turned up as well to say hello and ask us some really good questions too.
That's it. We just thought we'd share a little bit of some of the layouts that were there as well, so we've got a few clips. If you do want to see more, we did upload a amazing layout to the Great Electric Train Show video earlier in the week, so if you head onto our YouTube channel, you can watch loads of beautiful layouts in action now. I believe this is Shelvington, which you can see right now, which is amazing. There's a working flickerboard sign on there, yes, which is really great to see working. Unfortunately, I don't think we managed to get a clip of that, but there's a lot on show there. This is Bournemouth West, I believe, and you've got some live steam action there with a glowing firebox. There really was some beautiful layout on show, and it goes for most current exhibitions, really. The calibre of layout you get to see is quite spectacular, really. One we got to take a really close look at, which you'll see on screen just now, is Grinley Brook. We were invited by one of the creators of that to take a look behind the scenes, so I got to have a nice little crawl about around the back. It's a fantastic O-gauge layout, this, and you can see there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of nice little scenes he managed to pack in. And yeah, that was right next door to us, wasn't it? So we were quite lucky to see that in action. It
also shows just how different some of these layouts look from different angles as well, with them having the front side for most of us to see, apart from Jack there, obviously, but Jack getting a completely different view of the layout as the operator would see it too. And I mean, the operators have just as much fun as the people who go to the show as well, including ourselves. So just a great weekend all round with a lot of high detail and some really nice O-gauge modelling, as you can see there on the screen.
That's it. It really is for everyone, isn't it? It's fantastic for us as exhibitors. It's fantastic for the layout guys to play trains for everyone. And it's fantastic for you guys to go along and see what's going on in the hobby as well. Right, we've got Medway Peninsula Model Railway says, good afternoon, thanks to Jack for taking time to chat at Get on Saturday. Nice to meet you there, obviously. And he loves to look at the 66s. Ben Davis says, hi, it's Ben. I got to meet you guys at the show as well. And I believe you sent us in your picture of us together, so thank you very much for that.
You did indeed. Great to see you there, Ben.
Yeah, it was great to meet you, mate. And Luke Gauci said, I was there and he entered the competition for the P-Class. Don't know if you won, unfortunately, but yeah, either way, thank you very much for coming and seeing us and entering the competition too. Right, we're coming up to nearly about 5 minutes left in the show now, so we've got some time for some general questions as well. So if there's anything you do want to ask us, get those questions down in the comments right now, and we'll try our best to answer them for you. Right, who have we got here? we've got Jack Gerling says, is there any news on Hornby's purple liveried A4? Now, that's one that we get a lot of questions about, don't we?
We have had a lot of questions about the purple A4, and it is expected just before Christmas, that one, so we've been told that December is the latest date. The blue one will be coming in slightly before that in the next couple of weeks or so, but the purple one, about another month and a bit to wait yet. So if you've got a pre-order in now, we'll keep you updated with a certain date once we know it.
Excellent. Wheezy Palace Engage says, a bit off topic, but is there any news on Pico's turntable motor? You've seen it in stock in some places, but nobody seems to have them at the moment.
We've had initial stocks of them. We had a couple through, and to be honest, they flew right off the shelves. We are getting some more on the way, so check out our website. We've got them available to order right now, so pop your pre-order in. As soon as we get some more in the next week or so, we'll get one straight out to you.
They're looking fantastic, those turntables, aren't they?
It's something that people have been waiting for a long time, and it really is good that they've got that out now. And as said, they flew off the shelves with the first delivery. We're getting some more in about a week, so check out that link and get one on order.
Can't wait to see what people do with them on the layouts as well. Clive Cobalt says, is there any news on the 4-track OHLE from Pico?
Now that's something that's gone a little quiet actually. The normal catenary is already available on the 2-track variation.
But not the 4-track
The 4-track is under development. We have seen a sample of it made already, so we're expecting to hear a little bit more about that soon, and as soon as we do, we'll feature it right here.
That's it, we'll keep you posted on that. 700 Shunter says, which Express Steam logo is your favourite? His is the LSWR T14.
Oh, Express Steam logo for me, I think it's got to be either the A3 or the A4. Just seeing the O-gauge ones recently that we're bringing through is something that's really tempting me. So I think it's got to be the A3 or the A4.
As a bit more of a West Coaster, I'm going to go for the Princess Coronation on that one, I think.
Some really good models of that available as well at the moment in double O-gauge. So take a look on our website if you fancy either East Coast or West Coast.
We'll cater for either side of the UK on that one. Colin Brace says, will the Shire Scenes etched coach sides for ratio 4-wheelers suitable for the Genesis range?
Now, a lot of people are looking into providing modifications for the Genesis coaches and different changes, etc. We will be putting up, in fact, I believe there's already some measurements on our website if you check out the Genesis page. So if you've got certain etch sides or modifications you'd like to do to the coaches, check out those measurements and that'll give you a really good guide as to whether certain things will be possible or just might not be, or would be with a little bit of work.
That's it. We're really excited to see what you guys come up with for the Genesis coaches too, because there's a lot of modifications that can be made and different use cases for them, really.
Yes.
Matt Slade says he's looking forward to seeing us at Wally. It's his first time at the show. That's going to be a fantastic show. Wally always is. There's loads and loads to see, and we'll have plenty on display as well, so we look forward to meeting you.
And we'll be bringing you more news and updates about Wally on future episodes of Platform 1.
Aye. David S says, is the Hornby R1236 set due out, and is it a good set to start off with?
I believe that's the mixed freight set off the top of my head. I think it is.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of those sets coming through from Hornby though that are coming through within the next couple of months. You've got the mixed freight set, you have the GWR high speed train, you have a couple of other sets in there too which offer some real variety in what you can start off with, but the Hornby sets are always a good place to start off. You get a really reliable locomotive, a good amount of track to get you started, but you can expand on it quite easily. You get a reliable controller in there too, all the accessories you need to get going. So if you are thinking of starting off in the hobby, take a look at those Hornby sets, but also drop us an email, give us a call. If you need any advice at all on getting started, just get in touch and we can help you out.
Yeah, that's it. Redshed66077 says, hi lads, he's got the full RHTT set from us earlier this year, and he said with the forthcoming ones, in what way is there any differences from the original batch?
It is a rerun of the original batch, so it will be the same running number. So if you already have one from batch 1, it is the same as what you've got. It's just a case of they've sold really well, so we've got a few more on the way. That's it.
Just need to get some more out there for you guys, really. Snap them up straight away. We've got Lakota Thiralf says, is there any news on an O-gauge train pack with A4 and A3 or any teaks? That's not something we've got available at the moment, but we'll never say never for the future, really. The A3 should be due out very soon, and the A4s will be due out just before Christmas as well, and then the teaks around that same time as well. But I could say no news on anything like that at the moment, but potentially something we can look at for the future, definitely. And we've got one more here from Sammy B Films, and he says, if you could take any item from the table home, which one would you go for?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't think I've got long enough to answer, to be quite honest. I think I'd have to go for the RHTT.
He stole my idea.
Start, though. Well, we can share. We can have a wagon each.
Yeah, I think that might be the way it has to work. Right, we're coming up to the end of the stream there, guys. Thanks very much for your fantastic questions. If there's anything you wanted to ask and we've not got round to, do make sure to get in touch with our guys on the help desk. You can get in touch on social media, email, phones, in-store, whichever way you want, and they'll answer your questions. And there's more stuff on the website for you to check out as well. So next week we've got a couple of changes for the show.
Yes.
So I actually won't be here, unfortunately.
No, it's you're missing in action next week, I believe. So
there's going to be a Jack replacement service next week.
There is indeed. So I'll still be here on the stream, and we'll be joined by John for the first time as well.
Someone you might know from our store team if you've ever visited us in person. So I look forward to being back in a couple of weeks, but I'll leave you in Dave and John's capable hands for next episode anyway. Also, we will be one day early next week. We will be airing on the Thursday, but at the same time of 1 p.m. So make sure you don't miss out. If you're subscribed, you should get a notification anyway, but do hit the bell icon as well, because that'll let you know by a full notification for each video we pour out. But just to let you know, it will be Thursday at 1 p.m. next week instead. And like I've just said, you'll have John instead of me.
And of course, it's not just Platform 1 on our channel as well. Do take a look at our full video range, because we do upload several each week, running sessions with new locomotives, featuring some of our bargains and forthcoming developments as well. So if you do want to subscribe, it's not just for Platform 1, it is for the full range.
That's it. There's plenty of content coming out. And do make sure to like our social media channels as well, because you get all the latest news through there as well. Right, I think that's all for us this week. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
See you guys.